What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Country Bunkers Trains. Hope you're doing good. Hope you've been having a good week. We've got an old gem lined up for today's video that I think a few of you are going to enjoy quite a bit. You might notice some of the shelves here in the train room are pretty empty, quite sparse, which means one thing. Post-war equipment has come down off the walls and have taken over the layout. Always a great time getting the post-war stuff out and letting them stretch their legs. The engine we're going to be checking out today actually made its first debut in the very first official Country Bunkers Trains video, or episode if you will, 2 years ago. I thought that was pretty neat. At that time I had just recently picked this engine up, and obviously as you can see it's still here doing its job and performing flawlessly. Today I thought we'd take a quick peek at this post-war Lionel 2379 Rio Grande F3. What an awesome piece. And I mean, really, what more else is there to say? Is there anything more iconic than a post-war Lionel F3? I don't think so. These F3s have been imitated, tried to be duplicated, and replicated several times throughout the past many years. However, personally, between you and me, in my own opinion, there's nothing quite like the originals. The 2379 Rio Grande was offered and available for 2 years, from 1957 through 1958. Available both in a set or as a separate sale item. They were always sold as a powered A and a dummy B set. They come with a yellow molded plastic body with green and silver paint, black decal striping, and heat-stamped lettering on the sides of the bodies. They sport an operating front coupler, metal ladders and steps, an operating horn off of a D-cell battery, a 3-position E-unit, dual vertical worm drive gear motors, and magnetraction. When coupled together, this engine set measures 26 inches long. It only came in one variation. There were no differences between the years of production. And this happens to be one of the very few post-war diesels to have a matching painted caboose to go with it. A 6657 Rio Grande SP style caboose. I might have to pick one of these up sometime in the future. Looking over the roof of the A unit, as we've discussed in previous post-war F3 videos, we notice this one has the imperfection or the witness mark here in the back corner towards the front of the cab, which is actually a great thing. That means these are an authentic post-war piece. Always something to be mindful of when searching out and hunting down these post-war F3s. I did have to hunt for these for quite a while. I had a number of them I thought in my hands, but they ended up slipping up through the cracks and somebody else would grab them or I'd lose out on the sale. I ended up coming across this set on the popular auction site. Even though it was on the auction site, it was actually a local purchase. These were located in a town a couple towns over, but I still picked them up through the auction site and I'm very happy that I did. I got them for what I think was a damn good price. These engines usually command a pretty penny, and I was able to get these for quite a bit under what they normally go for due to their cosmetic imperfections. But at the same time, that's a pretty common occurrence with these engines. These Rio Grandes, the front nose decals usually get pretty chewed up. So like I say, I'm quite happy with the purchase of these. I did do a little searching around on the popular auction site before shooting this video to see what they're currently going for, and they seem to be around in the same ballpark. A couple sold recently for between $400 to $900. The lower end of that spectrum obviously not being in the best cosmetic shape, maybe having missing decals or big paint chips and whatnot. And then of course on the higher side of that spectrum, much nicer shape engines, maybe came with their original boxes and whatnot. So like I say, there's quite a gap in what these go for. I'm happy to report that I did not pay anywhere close to the lower spectrum on that for these. Again, they do have their issues, but for the price I paid, I'm quite happy with them. In that same breath, I am a little sad for this engine set. This engine is the perfect example of how not to store your trains. You wouldn't know it by looking at it, but underneath the shell and the bottom side of this engine is still factory fresh. It has all the original parts, pieces, and components that it left the factory with many years ago. The pickup rollers look to be original with very little runtime, along with the wheel sets. Under this shell, everything looks to be original under there. The wiring is still nice and supple and bendable. The insulation on the wires hasn't dried up and getting all cracked. Hell, I even think the original brushes are still in the motors, which is quite surprising to me. And she's still a great running engine. Now, obviously, I'll never know the true history of what ended up happening with this engine. However, if I was a betting man, there's two possibilities to what I see ended up happening to this set. The first one being maybe this was a birthday or a Christmas gift for a kid, and like with a lot of trains, it was brought out and only enjoyed around Christmas or the holidays. It was run very little, and then right after the holidays, it was quickly put up and stored away in a box. Or maybe this was possibly an adult purchased for a layout, maybe for display. Again, not seeing a whole lot of runtime, and then once again was quickly stored away in a box. Regardless, though, they both end in the same manner. This thing was stored improperly, loosely in a box, and got tossed around for quite a long time. That's what the evidence that I see on the shell of this engine. And it really is a shame, because underneath the shell, this thing is in spectacular shape. But as you can see, it just spent so much time loosely in a box getting tossed around. That's what did all the damage. A lot of the paint is wearing thin on the edges. I do think at one time it was stored in a hot attic. I don't remember where it was at, but there was a part of the decal up here. It looks like it got hot enough to loosen the adhesive on the decal, and then it got bumped and moved around in the box, and the decal tore, but stayed in a new spot. And when it cooled down, the decal re-glued itself back to the body. Quite odd. So like I say, guys, don't store your engines loosely in a box, because this is what ultimately ends up happening with them. Like I say, though, the inside is so nice, even the horn still works, which is quite the oddity for me with my post-war pieces. And it's a good sounding horn, too. How cool is that? What do you guys say we go ahead and fire this thing up and let it take a few laps around the layout? Let's go ahead and get her moved out. Isn't that a sight? Especially when you get all the brothers and sisters together. Always a great time running these post-war F3s. Unfortunately, this 2379 is going to conclude our post-war F3 videos for the time being. That's right, we've finally seen them all. It took 2 years, but we finally came full circle. Now, obviously, hopefully that doesn't mean it's actually the end. I still have my eye on quite the handful of these that I would like to pick up. I haven't been actively searching or hunting these down as I've been getting hot and heavy into the newer stuff, but I still like keeping an eye out for these and picking them up more for the collecting side of things more than the running. But obviously, as you can see, I really enjoy getting them down and letting them stretch their legs as well. If you guys are interested in checking out any of our previous post-war F3 videos here on the channel, I'll try and include some links in the description below so you can go check them all out. I hope you guys enjoyed this little video on the 2379. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. But anyways, guys, until next time, my name is Zach, and this is Country Bunkers Trains. Y'all take care. I'll see you the next go-round.